Are you an investigative professional? Did you know you can find the best private investigator resources using investigatorstoolbox.com? This resource community was built exclusively for licensed investigators and investigative professionals. You can network directly with members, educate yourself through free webinars and blogs, and even create your own customizable research library. Membership starts for as little as 49 cents a day. Download the Investigator's Toolbox app or visit our webpage at www.investigators-toolbox.com.
Is a good case management system keeping you from taking your business to the next level? Crosstracks is the premier case management system for the investigative community. They're the only SOC 2 certified case management software available. Visit crosstracks.com, tell them you're a listener, and save even more. Get a plan in place for the new year to grow your business to the next level. Are you in the New York metro area and are looking for work? Satellite Investigations is currently looking for a full-time field investigator. Visit Matt's profile on LinkedIn for more details and the links in the show notes. Good luck. Welcome to PI Perspectives. Today, we have a great show. We're talking about the Alive Active Shooter Training Program with Michael Julian. Michael is a PI and in California. He'll be one of the speakers at the Intellenet conference in Vegas next month. Mike has been working in the industry since he was 16 years old and has a great and unique perspective on the industry. So welcome Michael Julian and your host, private investigator Matt Spaier.
And welcome to this week's episode of PI Perspectives. This is your host, Matt Spaier. We're going from New York to California, coast to coast. Today, we're welcoming Michael Julian to the program. Michael, how are you?
I'm great, Matt. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you so much for coming on. I've been meaning to have you on for a really long time. You've got a very interesting background. You've been in this business, it seems like forever. So why don't you tell me a little bit about your business and what you do?
Well, let's start from the beginning, shall we?
Sure.
My father started our company in 1967. He was in the Navy, then he was in law enforcement, then he went private sector and started National Business Investigations.
Okay.
Now, NBI back in the day, 55 years ago, I don't believe that they had a separate PPO or security company license. So under a PI license, you could do just about everything, security or investigatively. So the company did private investigation work, executive protection, strike security. He even had a uniform division with a canine that consisted of a German Shepherd that my mom trained. So,
right.
Remember, this was 55 years ago. It was a little bit less complex and,
Sure.
Less rules and stuff like that.
Less technology, definitely.
Less technology. The next year I was born and I grew up in this business pretty much my whole life. Working, doing, going out with my dad to do steal trash in the middle of the night. I'd go out to take statements and I'd wait in the car while he was interviewing a witness. He taught me how to do surveillance when I was 16.
Great.
So for all intents and purposes, this is the only career I've ever had. Now, in 1997, he died very suddenly from a really rare heart condition called an aortic dissection. Same thing John Ritter died of, the actor.
Okay.
And that was very sudden. 2 days, actually, from the time the issue happened till, 48 hours later, my dad was gone at 57 years old.
Wow.
And, my mentor, my hero, my role model was all of a sudden gone. And that was just freaked me out, completely devastating. And here I was with a business that he never bothered to teach me anything about business. I was a great investigator,
Sure.
but I didn't know anything about running a business, except what I picked up by hearing him in his office or meeting with clients. So suddenly I had a business to run, and I spent the next 20 years as a student of business to learn how to run a business. In fact, Jack Reed, who was one of the founders of the California Association of Licensed Investigators, which I was a member on the board and president at one point, told me one day at a conference that you could be the greatest technician in the world and a so-so businessman, or the greatest businessman in the world and a so-so technician,
Yeah, we all
you're
struggle.
going to you're going to be better off as a good businessman and a so-so technician.
Yeah.
So I focused my energy on becoming a businessman. So with that, I then got the license when it became necessary to start a division that did nothing but security, and the division is MPS Security and Protection.
Right.
We do executive protection and state security and all kinds of strike security and all that stuff. We have a uniform division, and then we have the private investigation division as well. And then 9 years ago, I created the Alive Active Shooter Survival Training Program, and I teach that over the country. And we've got 96 instructors throughout the world.
That's amazing.
That's it.
And it's really, really cool. Yeah, it's just an amazing story. I think we all struggle as business owners, especially small business owners, where you get to that point where you got to make that decision, right? Am I going to be the investigator out in the field, or am I going to be the guy that's actually running the business? And yeah, I got to say, one of the things, that COVID helped me with was getting my clients used to the idea that Matt's not going to be the guy doing the work anymore. And I was able to kind of step back, and I got a great team of people around me that work for me. So it's been pretty cool doing that transition.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. And just realizing, Jim Nano says it all the time, right? It's always better to know the guy than be the guy. And it's so true, right? You can succeed in this business with your relationships. You're only as good as the relationship you have, really, when it comes down to. And being able to excel and get it done right by somebody who's an expert, as opposed to you tripping over your own feet to get it, and just being able to identify that, right?
Most definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So how big is your business now? How many people you have working for you?
Well, by the end of 2020, we had 300 uniformed, and probably between subs and employees, upwards of around 100 executive protection guys working for us throughout the United States.
Yeah.
Last year, COVID devastated us. We couldn't COVID didn't devastate us. Our government was paying people to stay home, so nobody wanted to come to work.
Yeah.
So our executive protection did fine, because those are professionals. But the people that work because they have to, not because they want to, and they don't care about making a lot of money, just decided to stay home because their unemployment was more than we were paying them.
Yeah,
and we
didn't want to come back. Like, no,
they just, whether they had COVID or not, they just decided they wouldn't come to work. We had people for the uniform division. We'd have people, and this was industry wide, everywhere. Show up, fill out an application, get interviewed, get hired, take their uniform, and not show up the next day and go down and apply for unemployment and keep the uniform. So it was devastating. We lost millions in uniform business last year.
Can you at least give the uniform back?
Right? Right? It was insane.
That's crazy, man. And it's just a weird world we've been living in for the past 2 years or so. But hopefully we're coming out of it. Looks that way. And we're going to talk a little bit later, actually, because you're going to be you can be speaking at Intellenet. Their conference is coming up in March in Vegas, which I'm excited, because anytime there's a live event, I get really excited just to see people in my industry. I'm tired of doing webinars.
Yeah, it was amazing. I'm part of an executive protection conference that happens every year in December.
Yes.
And we didn't have it in 2000 or 2021. And it was almost triple the size. No, in 2021, we had it almost triple the size.
Yeah.
Because nobody had done anything for a whole year and a half or whatever.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it was like, my God, we can go do something. And it's Vegas. So it was like 700 people at this thing. It was awesome.
I struggled with whether or not to go there when I I got invited, right? And I'm like, oh, I've never been there, but I have the Investigator's Toolbox. They're like, you should come, you should promote that, get a table. And I looked at it, like, I got the invitation so late, and I had already committed to doing the Christmas program at my church. I'm like, I can't bail. People have kind of made a commitment already.
Yeah. Well, next year it's going to be big. It'll be big again next year.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, it's so interesting to see. And what was cool about that event, it wasn't just that event that was there. There were all these Spaier events too. These other organizations that were like, okay, everyone's going to be in Vegas at this time. We're going to try and like do some other stuff too. Go out shooting and have some fun and do like, other stuff, which I thought
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. That was a symposium, right? The whole big thing going on is pretty neat.
Well, there was the Protector Symposium, which was put on by some other guys, but it was put on as a compliment, not they weren't competing. And it will probably be all one event next year, I'm hoping. But that happened the same day as the shooting event. And then me and two other people did a professional development workshop for like 2 or 3 hours in the afternoon. And then the rest of the conference kind of started the next day.
Right. Yeah. I was so bummed. I really wanted to go that one. Yeah. So I'll definitely try and make my way out there. So, it's interesting. I was having a conversation with Michael Accord from Conflict International.
Sure.
Well, not a podcast. We were actually out to dinner. He came to New York.
Yeah.
We had dinner.
Great guy.
Yeah. Mike's awesome. I always love asking guys like Mike and yourself, like, what does your day look like? Because, to me, it's like, I see you guys as a few years ahead of me as far as growth of business and just trying to understand, like, as an entrepreneur, where I want to be and how I want to grow my business, like what is your, what are you doing with your time? Because I know what I'm doing with my time and I know what I want to do with my time. So what does a typical day look like for you?
Well, I've got multiple verticals. Obviously, I've got the private investigation, executive protection, uniform security, and the Alive Active Shooter program. So I really got kind of like four verticals that I'm looking at. I've got a case manager that shuffles all the investigations with the investigators out in the field, surveillance and regular investigations and stuff like that. And then we maybe have some specialized stuff that is not our bailiwick, and we've got subcontractors handling that somewhere, wherever in the United States. So as far as investigatively, I get a daily update, and then we do a level we call level 10, which is derived from the business theory or practice or whatever, called Traction by Gino Wickman. Mm-hmm. And it's just a way to run your business, which is very effective. And I recommend to any business person out there that wants to get some help and structure within their business. So that's Thursdays at 10. That's my whole executive team. So I've got I hired a new president who's a 25-year retired FBI agent with a master's in business. The guy's brilliant. So he's taking a lot of the operations over. But before he was, doing that, I'd show up, go say hi to my team, see what's going on, any fires, any critical issues we need to process or damage control. If none of that happened, then I'd come back and I'd start working on emails, because after this long in business, I get 200 emails a day and 75 of them are spam. So I got to unsubscribe to those.
Yep.
And then I start, going down my list of things to do. Now, my active shooter program, Alive, stands for Assess, Leave, Impede, Violence, and Expose. I created in 2013, launched in 2014. And now I've got the online learning program. I've got in-person training. I've got live webinars, and I've got, like I said, 96 instructors throughout the United States teaching it. Yeah. That is kind of my passion project. Now, I've been doing this since I was 16, so I'm a little burned out, and I was really starting to hit a wall in 2013. And when I decided, okay, look, I'm seeing good people die at the hands of bad people, and it was really, frankly, pissing me off.
Right.
And I felt an angst and a frustration, and I thought, what can I do to change this? I don't like this feeling, and I'm a bit of a control freak, and I felt completely out of control because I couldn't help these people.
Sure.
And I also didn't understand why they weren't doing something or anything. They were doing nothing or the wrong thing. And I was brought up by a guy that was basically a drill instructor in my own home. So situational awareness was part of my psychology.
Sure.
So finally I decided, well, maybe if I can teach people how to survive these situations, I'll feel better. So I started going to instructor programs to teach active shooter survival. But I'd go over there and I'm like, yeah, that's not too bad, but I'd probably do this differently. And I go to this one and I go, well, that's not bad, but gosh, why aren't you talking about this? And then I'd go over here. Well, finally about the fourth one, I thought, well, you know what? I'll just make my own. So I created the Alive program with the acronym Alive, which I think is appropriate and powerful.
Right.
And that program is It's very different from most active shooter programs out there, because everybody focuses on run, hide, fight, which is a physical action. Running, hiding, and fighting are physical actions. But what I saw in my analysis and my research is it's not that people don't, they'll do that if they have the wherewithal and the right mindset. But most people are conquered just by their brain not acting in the way that it needs to. And that's having the calm, the focus, and the rational response to then appropriately run, hide, and fight. So I teach mindset and method is equal parts to active shooter survival. So that's kind of how my program really differentiates itself from the rest of them. And it's been extremely successful. I got an email from a gal named Liz Moreno in 2017. She was a former student of mine. Her employer had hired me to come in and teach everybody like 2.5 years earlier. And she survived the Las Vegas Mandalay Bay active shooter massacre. And she emailed me and said, "Hey, I just want to let you know, I believe that I'm alive today because of that program. Thank you." And I was like, wow, that was profound. I mean, you've got kids, right?
Yeah.
I've got kids. That's the most profound I think the most profound thing that could ever happen to another human being is having children. This was second.
Yeah.
When somebody looks you in the eye and says you or something you did saved my life, it's just like, I mean, I get freaking goosebumps every time I tell that story.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, this is what I want to do. And so I've dedicated 85% of my professional energy for the last 8 years to that program. And it's served very well. I wrote a book.
10 Minutes to Live, right?
Got the old version. That's the first edition.
Right.
I got the second edition with a really flashy cover, and it's called 10 Minutes to Live, Surviving an Active Shooter Using a Live. So,
nice.
Between all that stuff, I've stayed pretty busy.
Yeah.
So that's my day. I'm here and I'm doing emails and I'm doing stuff and I'm creating and I'm building and I'm talking to my people. And, if there's fires, and I help put them out, but I don't really know what I do, but it takes all day to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're going to jump out and take a quick break, but when we come back, I want to really dig in more on the Alive program and talk more about, this event that's going to be taking place in a couple of weeks in Vegas. Vegas seems to be your second home, right?
I'm there a lot.
Yeah. All right. So everybody sit tight. We'll be right back. I want to talk to everybody today about ScopeNow.com. ScopeNow has been a big time sponsor of this program for quite some time. And I just love their service. I've been using them since the beginning. I'm one of their beta customers, and it's been so awesome to see them grow into the business that they are today, and just how they just keep reinventing themselves and pushing themselves to get more and more information. What it comes down to is ScopeNow is a tool that you definitely need to use if you do social media investigations, any internet research, and really spending less time digging around and looking for information. I think is one of the best points of how ScopeNow can help you. Their AI platform, their analytics are amazing. You really get an idea of what you need. You're reducing the time, you're reducing the manpower that you're spending on doing this research, because they're essentially doing it for you, and they're doing it correctly, which is most important. One of the new things that they're actually offering is this flagging system where you can flag behaviors and really highlight and look out for fraud. If you're doing a lot of fraud research, this is a fantastic tool, and you can set up alerts. So you have particular people that you're looking at, you can actually set up alerts to get notifications when the criteria that you set up is actually is flagged and goes off. It's really, really amazing. And their relationship and association analytics are top notch, really cutting edge and really, really cool. When they brought that out on version 3, it was a game changer. I mean, really being able to see how people interact together and having that relationship, analysis is really, really something that's cool. One of the other things about being involved with Scope Now is their ability to offer webinars. Their team is cutting edge on putting together and getting out really, really great content. If you're a member of Scope Now, if you know who they are, you've seen them around on LinkedIn, you'll know that they're constantly doing webinars on these new websites that are coming out, and they're really staying on top of it. And don't forget, any reports that you generate, you can actually white label those reports and put your own logos on and really make them look professional, which could equate to more billing for you as well. So check them out today. It's www.scopenow.com. They're a great company. They should be one of the tools in your toolbox, along with whatever kind of search engines you do. You need to make sure that Scope Now is a part of that suite. Scopenow.com.
In 2019, Investigation Education Consultants added a new affiliate in its never-ending quest to provide quality professional investigative training. IEC is now offering certificate courses and investigative training online. Our website, IECOIT.com, will soon offer a certificate in professional investigation for those interested in entering the investigative field. There'll be standalone investigation classes for those seeking continuing education credits, CEUs, or just interested in taking classes for their own personal or professional interests. The classes currently available are Foundations of Investigation, Legal Investigation, Criminal Investigation, Fraud Investigation, Background Investigation, Interviews and Statements, Skip Tracing Locates, Ethics, and Report Writing. Investigator Toolbox members will receive a 20% discount off the listed price. So visit IECOIT.com. Check out the latest issue of PI Magazine, available online or by hard copy. Visit PIMagazine.com to learn more.
And welcome back to PI Perspectives. This is Matt Spaier, your host. We are here with Mike Julian. Mike, welcome back to the program.
Good to be here. I'm just taking my vitamins, my
go.
multivitamins here.
Yeah, I think you need it, man. The type of day that you have, there should be some vitamin B in there. Make sure you're focused, right?
Yeah.
Wow, we definitely unpacked a lot before we took a break here, and I'm just fascinated by this live program, and that crazy story with the gal who said you saved her life, with that Las Vegas event. And we were chatting on the break here about an event that Callie did in Vegas a couple of years ago, where the actual police commissioner of Las Vegas came in and broke down that whole event. And I've seen a couple of unpackings of that event, but that I remember it was during lunch. And it was something that was very crazy, man. They were playing audio clips and things like that. But you got to believe that the stuff that you're teaching, I mean, it's not just for law enforcement and all that. I mean, it's good knowledge for people, because you never know when something's going to happen, right?
Well, my course is specifically to the average citizen, though I will tell you, most law enforcement representatives love my course because it's not candy coated. It's not watered down. I do talk about the fact that someone is trying to kill you, so you may have to kill them first so they don't succeed.
Right.
I'm very, realistic about the fact that if somebody brings violence to your doorstep, you may have to use violence against them. Yeah. And this, the sad thing, Matt, is I've had potential clients like Silicon Valley. Some of the more, and I'm sorry if I offend anyone, but some of the more liberal mindset people that I have talked with that were interested in my program, when I tell them that the V in ALIVE stands for violence, and I teach people that you may have to take another person's life if it means your survival, they go, whoa, sorry, we can't go any further because we don't allow violence in our culture. And I said,
there'll be no killing, right?
Yeah. I say, well, whether you allow it or not, if somebody decides they're going to bring it to your doorstep, it's there. So you got to deal with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, it's my program is very, very realistic, and it talks a lot about the mindset and psychology of where your brain needs to be. I talk about the two mindsets in particular: a security mindset, which is training, avoidance, preparation, situational awareness, everything you need to do in practice to be prepared for an event. And then as soon as that event begins, now you're on to the survival mindset. And that is whatever it takes to go home to the people that you love. So I talk about those type of mindsets.
Yeah, I would imagine this would be great for like schools, like teachers and things like that, being able to give them just that, oh crap, it's going down. What do I do? Instead of just freaking out, it's like you hit that, okay, now we're in survival mode. I know I took these lessons. I know what I need to do. I'm the voice of reason. I'm calm. This is how it's all going to go down. I mean, it's got to be effective.
It's been really well received by the teachers I've taught.
Yeah.
Even healthcare professionals, they don't like the violence part because many of them are they're very empathetic. Their job is to care for people, to make them happy and healthy and live. So they don't, frankly, a lot of them don't like violence, and I get that, but unfortunately it is a fact of the situation.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you start talking about houses of worship too, right?
Do houses of worship, government buildings. It's being taught in the United States Army right now. I've had, universities, you name it. One of Elon Musk's companies, all of their employees have been trained by my program. It's powerful and it's impactful, and it's a lot. But I had one lady, an HR director that was HR for a public utility. And I gave her free access to the online course, the 2-hour online course. And I was just amazed because she came back to me and she said, we're going to go with somebody else. And so I called her and I said, look, I respect whatever you want to do, but I'm curious as to why. She goes, well, when you use that green rubber gun to demonstrate how to, disarm or make a weapon not work properly, it frankly was a little triggering. And I said, it's a green rubber gun. And would you rather a real gun in real life be the first time you ever experienced that type of exercise?
Right.
So, you can't get you want to get people to think, wow, this is real life stuff. And it may be uncomfortable. I show several videos of real active shooter events. Now, they're not gruesome. You don't see blood. It's not, you could turn on HBO on a Saturday morning at 9 a.m. and see way more graphic stuff. But I show actual active shooter events. And a lot of people in the evaluations, and I always have them fill out an evaluation, I ask, what did you like the least about the program? And a lot of people say, I didn't like the videos. And then on the next line, they say, but I'm glad I saw them because it made it real. And now I understand the severity of the situation.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I had a situation where I had a friend of mine. I met him through another friend. This guy lived in Portland, Oregon. And one day his neighbor snapped and just started killing everybody in his house. And this guy, by the grace of God, who was an NRA guy, actually guns of his own, was able to take this guy down and end his life. And it was like, it got to the point where it was either him or the other guy. And it's like, he didn't think he would have to kill anybody that day. It's like, you never know when it's going to happen. And I knew the guy before and I knew the guy after, and it definitely changed him. Whole nother perspective on life, and not like to the point where he was timid or upset about it. He was like, wow, I was given another chance here. Like, I need to do something with my life because, I shouldn't be here right now.
Yeah.
Right.
And you know what? I know of so many buddies of mine that were combat Marines or in the military, Army, whatever, that have had to take people's lives in the course of their military duty. And it changes people, and I would not wish it on anyone. So when I tell people, be prepared and be committed to killing if you have to save your own life. Yeah. I always say be committed, but if it comes down to there's no longer a threat, you can stop the commitment and step back and go, thank goodness. But I don't ever want to take another human life.
Yeah.
Unless I absolutely have to save myself or somebody else. And I wouldn't wish it on anybody. So I definitely don't tell people that that's what you're supposed to do. And I don't want people to try and be heroes.
Yep.
Look, being heroes is if you want to be a hero, you should be an actor. Real heroes don't want to be. They just end up being because that's how they're built.
Sure.
And I tell people it's not my job to tell you need to be a hero. However, if you feel that there's an opportunity to stop the killing by doing something, then, and you feel comfortable doing it, then doing it. But at the end of the day, your responsibility is to your own life and getting back to the people you care about.
Absolutely, 100%. I know I have another good buddy of mine who's a police officer in Yonkers, New York, who I've told this story before on the podcast, but he does warrant squads, right? So they're going to pick somebody up who's got a warrant, and the guy like spazzes out, and he's coming at him with like a knife. Now, my buddy had the shield. He's got the one hand on the shield, the other hand on the gun, and he's like, that guy has no idea how close he came to dying. Like I had a split second, am I going to end this guy's life right now, or am I going to try and de-escalate the situation? When it came down to, they were able to de-escalate, and I remember chatting with him when he got home. He's like, yeah, it was a rough day today, but I didn't have to kill anyone. I didn't die, and
Good day.
yeah, we solved the situation, right? And that's his perspective on how he looks at things. It's crazy, man. I get anybody that are in those type of situations, man. I feel for them, and it's so great that they have a product like yours, a program, to really rely on, because sometimes you get in the freak out thing and you just freeze and you don't know what to do.
That's what happens, Matt. Many people. One of the videos I show is of a board meeting in Panama City, Florida, many years ago, and a guy pulled out a gun and started to shoot. And one of the board members, the biggest guy there, he actually stood up a little bit taller and wrapped his arms around himself and hugged himself, like he was thinking, I want to go home. I want my mommy.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to put him down or make fun of him. Unfortunately, that is what so many people do. We got three instinctual reactions to this type of thing: fight, flight, or freeze.
Yeah.
You cannot freeze. You cannot freeze unless you're purposely freezing so they don't see you move. But even then, you're in control of your actions and your emotions. You can't do it. So you got to decide, can you fly? Can you fly? And if not, you might have to fight.
You might have to do it. Yeah. So let's take a turn here and talk a little bit about the event coming up for Intellenet. It'll be in Las Vegas in March. Tell me a little bit about what you'll be teaching there and what that course is about.
They've got me doing a pre-con, and I'm going to do my entire course. Like I normally do. Most employers want me to do the 2-hour. I'm a Vistage speaker. If you know what Vistage International is, it's the largest CEO group in the world. And so they pay me to fly around and teach to their Vistage groups. And I do a 3-hour morning course. They want me to do a 4-hour at Intellenet. So I will be doing everything and not pulling any punches or speeding it up for time. So I'm going to do 2 hours in the morning, and then we're going to do lunch, and then come back for 2 hours, and everyone will have a food coma. So we'll all be yawning, but so I'm going to do a whole full 4-hour presentation of my entire program with all the videos and everything.
Wow. And I think that's the 21st of March, right?
Is it the 21st
or 22nd? I don't know.
Let's see. It is the oopsie daisy. Yes, it is. I am speaking on the 21st, I believe. Yeah. 10 a.m.
Right.
10 to 12.
Because I think it starts the 22nd, the conference, if you're doing pre-con.
That is correct. And then I'm staying out there the week because coinciding with Intellenet is ISC West, which is the biggest electronic security conference in the country. And so I'll be out there the entire week. And then, next week, is it next week? The 24th at 9 a.m., I'm doing a 2-hour webinar for the South Bay Long Beach District for the California Association of Licensed Investigators. And that's open to everybody. I think it's like $5 more for non-members of Cali, but that is open to everybody. So
is that an in-person event, or is
no, it's a webinar.
Webinar. Okay.
Yeah, I'm doing it from here. And actually what I'm going to be doing is showing a video of my live presentation. So it's a webinar of me on stage doing the full 2-hour presentation.
Okay. Well, we'll put a link in the show notes to that. If anybody,
please. Yeah, that's going to be a good one. In fact, it was so cool. I got hired to do my presentation to a mega church in San Diego. So I had 200 people in this church, broadcast their sermons to the whole world. So they have the most professional deal you've ever seen. Yeah. They did the most beautiful production value video of me doing this thing. It was really neat.
So I'm supposed to go to Accra, Ghana this summer to go. I play worship music, right? So we got invited to this church in Ghana, and
Wow.
supposedly I haven't been there yet, but supposedly the sound system, like the setup over there, is like the most professional sound system that you can ever see broadcasting all over the place. Like I'm really excited.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it should be I think like 1,000 people or something. Or
Wow.
yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. Yeah, that's my little side gig. That's how I keep from going crazy, killing people. I just play music. Yeah, so
I understand.
yeah,
I understand.
you know,
That's why I go to the gym
exactly.
for mental health.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's cool stuff. I mean, there's yeah, the Intellenet too is always a good group of people, professionals. You know the folks that are there that have been in the industry for a while, and I did. They had their first live event actually last year with South Carolina. They did it like a joint event, which was great. It was really fun to see everybody. And I think in Vegas, like I was reading the other day that the mask mandate's being lifted there too. So
I heard that as well. Thank goodness. You know what's funny? I don't want to get sidetracked because COVID has dominated enough our lives. But a month ago, either everybody I knew had just gotten over COVID or still had COVID. And I don't know a single person that has COVID right now.
Yeah.
Did everybody get it and now they're done with it?
I feel the same way. like the Omicron, like you're destroyed New York, and now everyone's just like, whatever.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Let's keep it moving. But it's good. I mean, I think it's time to get back out there and do things. I know PM Magazine just had their latest issue that did the pandemic kill live conferences, and to an extent I think it did, and even like with virtual conferences, you're starting to get burnt out with it. Definitely it's it's getting at the point where it's like, I just want to be in person to see people, right?
Yeah, but you know what, one of the greatest things that came out of this is so many people, I mean, I knew how to use Zoom kind of ish.
Yeah, me too.
So many people that's probably would have gone to their grave without knowing how to use Zoom are now Zoom masters. And so I love in-person meetings. I hate phone calls. I want to sit across from the table and talk to you.
Yeah.
I get to do that with anyone I want now.
Yeah.
So now everybody knows how to use Zoom or Teams or whatever. And now it's like, cool. In fact, if somebody schedules a meeting and they don't turn their camera on, I'm like, kind of butthurt. I'm like, hey man, what's up? I had one this morning with a new client on a huge intellectual property investigation case. And she gets on and I go, what, you're not going to turn your camera on? Did you not put your makeup on this morning? Didn't do your hair, whatever? She goes, no, I just came from not squash, but there's some kind of competition like squash or badminton or something like that. I can't remember. And she had just played for like 2 hours. She goes, you do not want to see me right now. I said, fair enough.
Don't ask twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. And even I think this a side effect of that is, depositions now with court, like the attorneys are loving it, right? They're able to do it. They're moving cases that much easier.
Cheaper.
Yeah, cheaper. Money. Yeah. And now here in New York anyways, virtual notary, right? So it was a temporary order, but now it's permanent, right? So you can actually do a video conference and you can notarize documents as long as the person can prove that they're in New York. Yeah, both parties in New York, you can actually do it, which is a blessing and a curse for our industry, right? It may take away some business for us, but it may also help us to get some work done. So,
well, for me, do you know Jerry Hang?
I know the name. I don't know him.
Jerry owns the Executive Protection Institute, one of the oldest and best known executive protection academies, schools in the country. Jerry is the owner. It was started by Dr. Richard Kovitz, who was a retired Chicago cop, and Jerry was one of the instructors, but he purchased it. He's out of New York. He's in Manhattan. Mm-hmm. And I was supposed to fly back and do my instructor course for my program for 13 people. And during the pandemic in 2020, and New York imposed this 14-day quarantine. And I mean, I was like 3 weeks out from doing this, right?
Crazy.
He goes, Mike, what are you going to do? I said, I am not going to do my instructor course. If it's not in person, it's got to be in person. That's the only way I'll be able to be effective, blah, blah, blah. He goes, okay, so you're just not going to do it. And all 13 of these people are going to have to wait however long it's going to be. Just do it on Zoom. I said, fine. So within a week, I had done the whole thing. It was already a PowerPoint, everything I could do on Zoom, honestly.
Right.
I did it on Zoom, and it was the best thing I could have done. And I've only had 2 in-persons since the world opened back up because it's so effective on Zoom. However, I am having one, White Plains, Maryland. I'm having an instructor certification course on April 7th and 8th. So if anybody's interested in becoming an instructor of my course, and selling it and teaching it, then they can come to that in-person class in Maryland.
It's almost soft shell crab season too. I think it
Ooh,
starts.
that sounds pretty good. Yeah.
So that's really cool, man. And it's great that you're getting out there and you're providing all this stuff for people, and just, that I think legacy, just that foundation, when you decide you don't want to do this anymore, thinking of all the people that you've impacted and the lives that potentially saved, because we never know when the next thing is going to happen, and giving these tools to people as quickly as you can, and as many people as you can, it's only a good thing, right?
Yeah. And what's cool is this guy right here, he gets out in less than 20 months. He's coming home from Washington, D.C., where he's stationed, going back to work for me, and he will be the 3rd generation to take this company on. And he's got the same name as me, so he'll automatically have name recognition.
Nice.
So that's going to be awesome. So that's my retirement plan right there.
There you go. Right. Don't screw it up, buddy.
No, please do not re-up. He was going, well, I might want to go special forces.
Right.
I said, no, you don't want to do that. You want to come home and go to work for Dad.
There you go. So what kind of advice would you give to the investigator who's thinking about maybe getting into EP and going down this route? What type of nuggets can you give them?
Well, if you're going to get into executive protection and you don't have formal training, get formal training. Just being a cop does not make you an EP guy. Just being in the military does not make you an EP guy, unless you had training in law enforcement or the military. My president, 25-year FBI, was on the dignitary protection team and protected the head of the FBI and the attorney general. So he's done all that stuff. He's qualified. He could do it. But if you really want to get into EP, and I don't want to discourage anybody, but you know what you're getting into. There's different kinds of protective work in different levels. There's lower end all the way up to actual executive protection, close protection in combat zones and stuff like that. Know what you're getting into and figure out what you're good at, because not everybody is good at every form of protection, just like not every guy or gal is good at every type of investigation.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, we were, this is a callback to earlier. We were talking about, it's better to know the guy or girl than be the guy or girl, because there are so many different aspects of our industry of things that we can do. Just, knowing where you excel. Like for me, I know personal injury is my thing. I can talk to you today and tomorrow about it. You ask me to do EP, I'm like, what? I don't, it's not my thing. I don't do it. You ask me to do a divorce case. Don't want to do it. Don't want the aggravation.
No. Yeah, those domestics, the emotion level is very high with the client, so it can turn out to be a lot of work.
I think you may need the Alive program just to survive.
Sometimes you never know.
It's crazy. So Mike, we're going to wind down here. Why don't you tell folks how they can get a hold of you?
Well, the Alive website is pretty simple and self-explanatory. ActiveShooterSurvivalTraining.com. You can go there, go to the courses in the upper left-hand corner and check out the pages for any of the courses, online, webinar, in person, or the instructor certification course. Mm-hmm. My security company for executive protection, residential security, all that good stuff is security dash or hyphen MPS, M like Mike, P like Paul, S like Sam, security-mps.com. And then the investigations website is, I should probably just put them all in one website. That would be easier. Investigations is investigations, plural, investigations dash or hyphen, N like national, B like business, I like investigations. So investigations-nbi.com.
Awesome.
And you can buy my book through my website, through the ASIS website, bookstore website, through the Sherm bookstore website, or from Amazon.
Very, very good. Very good. So this episode will air on a Monday. And that following Thursday is when we're going to have that Cali event for you. So
Thank
if
you.
you folks are
Outstanding.
interested, yeah, please go visit the show notes. You can always go visit the Cali website too. I'm sure they have a link to it.
Yeah, that is cali-pi.org. And by the way, if you are a private investigator, doesn't matter what state you're in, but especially in California, if you are not a member of the California Association of Licensed Investigators, you're leaving money on the table, you're leaving growth on the table, and you're leaving networking and friendship and compadreness, or whatever, if that's a word, on the table. You gotta join, rub elbows with the same type of people as you. You will go much, much further that way.
Yeah, and I can attest to that. So I am licensed in New York, and I am a member of Cali, and the listserv is like nothing you'll ever see.
Hey,
it's the most active listserv out there. Period.
Most amazing thing in the world, I'll tell you. That listserv, you send one email, and it goes out to 1,400 members. I have made so much money, and because of that thing, a client says, "Hey, can you do this very specialized investigations?" What do I say? Of course I can. Even though I don't have the first idea how to start it, I put an email out to all the rest of the people on the association, and there's 3 guys that fire back and go, "Yeah, that's what I did in the FBI, or that's what I've done, blah, blah, blah."
Sure.
Now you've got the best technician charging, an adequate, appropriate fee for great value. Everybody makes money, and the client gets a fantastic service.
Yeah. I had to have papers served in La Jolla last week. It's like, and my client calls me up, "Can you do California?" "Yeah, no problem. Tell me, send me what you need." I got it. Like, I didn't even say like, "Oh, let me go find out," because I knew the second I put it up on that board, I'll have 5 or 6 people saying, "Yeah, I can handle it for you."
Yep.
Yeah, very easy. So, hey, Mike, this was great. I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to seeing you in person in a couple of weeks out in Vegas. And thanks for taking the time to just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing here. And you're doing great things, man. So
Thank you, Matt. I truly appreciate it. It was an honor and a pleasure to be on your show, and I'm looking forward to seeing you.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll catch everybody on the next show next week. Take care.
Thank you, Mike, for coming on and teaching us about the Alive program. It's amazing how you might survive these life-changing events with just minimal training. Make sure you check out the link in the show notes for the event and other information to contact Mike. We also want to thank Crosstrack, Scope Now, Satellite Investigations, and Investigation Education Consultants for sponsoring this show. So please support our great supporters. Now, have you thought about joining the Investigators Toolbox yet? Now's a great time to get on board and join the fastest growing digital community for investigative professionals. Just use code PIP 201836 to save 10% on our membership. If you have a question or a comment about the show, email Matt at matthews@satellitepi.com. You can also find him on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. We want your feedback to bring you the best shows possible. And we'll be back next week with a new show. So make sure you tune in and stay safe out there.